So you used
So
AI before?
yeah, I used it. I tried out. I tried out Mid Journey, and
How
then
was that?
it was my expectations were high. I had high
Okay.
expectations, and when I started using it, it was like, okay, you could do this, you could do that, but it's not what I expected. So I stopped. I
Mm,
told myself, since this is the infancy of Midjourney and the AI photo manipulation, etc. I figured I don't want to be there in the beginning where people are just figuring it out. So I figured I could just stop using it for a couple of months. Maybe there are a few breakthroughs. I see something on
yeah.
TikTok or something, and I figure, oh, okay, now is the best time to go in. But then when I realized what was happening with the AI companies and the people that use it and the artists, I was like, no, I cannot put myself in a position to use this new technology if it's going to destroy people like me.
So what in that case? Because I don't really know too much about it. Like, are you talking about how the AI would train on the other artists'
Yes,
like art and
right,
steal that
yeah,
art, and the artist gets no
right.
credit for it, right?
But it's not the AI's fault. It's a tool. The people
Mm-hmm.
that used it, they took the work of the artist and then they fed it into the AI. It's not the AI's fault. Like I said, my
Yeah,
problem is not the AI. My problem is with the people that are using the AI,
yeah,
thinking that they could just go around the internet taking people's things and then
yeah,
just using it and then spitting out content that looks exactly like those people's work. So for me,
yeah,
I
and
was
not
like,
giving them the proper credit, right?
I mean, even if
It's
and the thing is, even if those people got credit doesn't really do anything for
yeah,
them in the long run.
true.
So I understand that argument, but to me, it's not enough. It really isn't enough because I'm pretty sure if these people went to those artists and said this is what we want to do, they would still say no because to them it doesn't matter if you pay me $50,000, $10,000, $1. You're still taking my work and adding it and putting it into this technology to replace me sooner or later. So like, why would I
Yeah,
accept
people are
money
feeling pretty threatened,
to
right?
shoot myself in the foot? It doesn't make sense. So after I figured out that's what was happening, I was completely on the no AI train,
Mm.
and I'm still there. So even though Photoshop is now using AI prompts to get stuff done, it's the same thing. It just has different clothes on. So like to me, it's I just ignore it right now, and I don't
Ah,
use
okay.
Photoshop. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What did you say? You use we were talking before. You use
Clip Studio Paint.
Clip Studio Paint, nice, and then you
Yeah,
export
Clip
your
Studio
file
Paint.
in
That's what I yeah.
Photoshop.
And since Photoshop is ingrained into the industry already, I figured Clip Studio Paint is really good. The tools are really good. It's their focus is the artists themselves. And a lot of artists that I know, they use Clip Studio Paint and they do just like me and they export their work into Photoshop
I
with
see.
all the
Is it
layers, all
free?
the
Is it free to
information.
use Clip
Oh
Studio
no,
Paint?
no, I paid for it. It's a
Worth it
paid
though,
software.
right?
It is worth it. 100. I would tell anybody that's getting into art. Um, Clip Studio Paint has sales all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
bought my software for like 15 US. Best
No,
thing I ever did.
no
And
subscription, just like a one-time
no,
payment thing.
just perpetual license. It's mine. I can do
Nice.
whatever I want to do.
So what do you like about it so much? Like, what are
The
the
tools.
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so with Clip Studio Paint, you can pretty much take any brush from Photoshop
Oh, is
and
this
put it
Clip
into the
Studio Paint right
software.
here?
Yes, right there, right now. So I have a
Nice.
bunch of brushes from a bunch of different artists that I watch on streams, that I follow on social media. Like they put their
Mm-hmm.
stuff out in packs, and then you could come. You can some of them give out free brushes, and some of them sell the brushes that they create. I indulge in both. So I buy some brushes from Gumroad, or I take the free ones. So
Nice.
these brushes they're they're everything. It's all types of brushes. You could use it for almost anything.
And you can
I
animate in
was
this too, right?
Yes, you
Sort
can.
of.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
timeline
interesting.
somewhere down here. Let me, I don't
That's
use it,
awesome.
so it is amazing.
Yeah, kind of like Procreate, except like you don't need an iPad for this. This can just be on your
Yep,
desktop, right?
I can find how to. I don't use the timeline for animation in Clip Studio Paint, so like
Mm.
it's a little difficult to find it right now. But we'll circle back when I remember. Um, so
No,
since
that's
we're on
okay.
stream right now, we could probably go ahead with the introductions and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
sure.
again.
So if you wanna go ahead and introduce yourself, like, because you what I wanted you on the stream for is because you have taught yourself animation. You're completely self-taught and you've been
Yeah,
working in the industry and you're like super, super successful, right? So
yeah.
if maybe you could take us through your initial what made you want to get into animation and when did you
Okay.
know that you could become like a professional animator? Maybe start there and we'll
All right, cool. All right, so my name is Francis. I live in St. Lucia, tiny island in the Caribbean, and I'm a 2D animator, freelance 2D animator. And I started off my journey in art, like a lot of artists would say, they started when they were young. So like I was always into drawing and stuff like that, but I never really took it
Mhm,
serious until like my later years, like 19, 20.
of
I did
course.
art in school, like my secondary school years. I did art. I did it for my final exams. I passed, but I never really saw it as something I could actually do per se, because like when you live in a country like mine, your parents push you towards very academic things,
Okay.
um, and being somebody that yes I was yes I was good at academics, but I was always good at art as well. So like for me it was like, what do I want to do? So I had this little conflict when I was in my teenage years. It was not
Yeah.
after I left school. I was into dance and theater, and then somebody told me
Okay.
that there's this startup going on, and they want to train people in animation, and I saw that as my chance, and I took it. As I spent about 5 years in that studio learning animation in my spare time, doing like small projects, getting paid, etc. But
And
what
were you
really changed
learning
my life.
completely like trial and error? Like there were
So
no
at first,
tutorials?
at first it was trial and error. At first it was trial and
Okay.
error, and then like everything else, YouTube was became a source for me. So I went to YouTube. I found videos, and there are people um, like Hubom Lee. This guy is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Just to take your time to make those videos and put it out on the internet for people free of charge is a blessing
Yeah.
enough. So
Huge.
I was studying his stuff like to a T. Like he would make these videos where he would rate characters and then he would explain how he would do it and then why he would do it. And since he was already working in those professional settings, the
Yeah.
smartest thing to do was to just take his word for it. And so a lot of his practices, I took some of his practices and I added it into my own workspace, and things
Nice.
became a lot easier. When I recognized that learning animation online was a route, that's something that stuck with me in the back of my head for later
Mm.
on.
It's
So
a huge
after,
library.
yeah, it's a lot. And at first, it might seem like a lot to take in, but then you kind of have to tell yourself, okay, so if you're learning by yourself, you need to pace yourself. You need to create a program for yourself. You need to figure out how you can learn, what type of learner you are, visual, auditory, etc., and then just do it. But the thing is, you have to tell yourself to stay motivated to get it done, because at times in the learning process, especially in the self-learning process, you find yourself making a lot of mistakes,
Oh
and
yeah.
that is the big difference between self-learning and learning from like official sources like art schools or whatever. You have those mentors to tell you where you're going wrong, so these mistakes you catch them very early. But when you're
Yeah.
self-taught, it's very difficult to figure out if you're going the right path. So when I figured out, and I was adopting like a lot of these like bad practices, I sorted out like online sources like schoolism, etc. But
Yeah.
before I go down that road, I was about to mention, while I was still working at that studio in my country, I had the opportunity to go to another country where there was this animation conference. So everybody that was into animation on a serious level, they came to that conference. So they invited people from the industry. So I got to meet with people like Joel Kurahara. He's one of the co-owners of the Bento Box Studio. There were people
Oh,
from
that's huge.
Cartoon Network. They were writers for cartoons, for shows. They were giving out these lectures. So I had this little notepad and I was just writing down stuff, writing down people's names, taking email addresses, just networking or whatever. And it wasn't until I met a group of people in the Caribbean that were doing it on a level that I did not even know was available. So I met with them. I networked with them. They
How
told
did you
me
meet
about.
them?
They were right there. They were literally right there next to me.
Oh, like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see.
yeah. They were right there next to me. So like I spoke to some of them. I recognized that this is not a hobby. This is life. This is a job. This is something that I could actually do. So I
Yeah,
started
you can do
formulating this plan for when I go back home because the the atmosphere around animation where I am is it's not very serious. It's not very people take it serious. So
it.
like I figured when I leave this place that's fully saturated with people in the arts, people that do this thing on a day-to-day basis, it's going to be completely different when I go back home. So what do I
Yeah,
need to do? So after I was done networking with people, which is very important for later on in the conversation. Networking is very, very important.
yeah.
When you
We
recognize
definitely
people,
talk about that later.
you need to do not be shy. You have to come out of yourself and speak to these people because they're not monsters, and they may be by themselves in their own little worlds, but you have to go outside of yourself and talk to these people because I can tell you 100% they're more than eager to have these conversations with
Yeah,
younger people that want to join the industry. So after I did that, I went back home. I recognized things were not working out as I wanted it to, and I got into contact with some of the people that I was talking to back when I was at the conference,
hmm,
and they gave me a chance because they noticed that I'm not completely there, but I was on the right track. So they decided to give
yeah.
me a chance.
I find
Um,
that's really, really important too when you're like learning. You're not gonna like be a professional right away, but you just have
yeah,
to show them that you have potential or you're
yeah,
literally on the right track, and they're not gonna be wasting their time
yep.
like teaching you stuff, right?
And that is the most important thing,
Hmm.
showing these people that you have what it takes, not just the skill, because the skill can be trained. Is the attitude. once you
Yeah,
once you have the attitude to persevere, to make sure that you're not going to chicken out halfway. That's what they want to see. And like when I left that conference and I went back home, like, I went on this journey of discovery and learning and whatever, to building up that skill, because it doesn't matter what you want. If you don't have the skill, nobody's going to take you serious. So in my
yeah,
mind, I was like just acquiring these skills because I knew what was expected of me now. I just came from there. I saw it in real time. I
yeah.
saw it with my eyes. So now I knew what was expected of me, and I started to build my arsenal. And then they took notice and they gave me a shot. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't there yet, but I was on my way there. And they taught me a few things. They got me on a few projects.
That's
They
huge.
paid me. They paid me, and that is very important. They paid me very
Wow.
well for my
Oh,
time,
really?
for my expertise. That was
Nice.
the main thing for me, like
That's huge.
doing these projects and getting paid the right way.
Yeah.
And
Good.
that's what was missing in my journey as a professional animator. And once that started happening, everything else just became very easy. I was like, look, I'm here, and this is who I want to be, and this is why I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to be, because it is good.
It
I
shows
am
you can
living the
actually make a
dream.
living doing what you,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right?
Once you
That's it's
once
like
you
proof.
once you've crossed that threshold, it is
Yeah.
amazing. So
And I find too, lots of people will doubt you coming up, but once you actually start like making money in the industry, it kind of like silences those doubters, and it's a
yep,
big weight off your shoulders, or at least
and
that's what it
not
was
not
for me.
and not just the external doubters, the internal ones
Yeah.
as well, because you're telling yourself, because you have to convince yourself first that you're capable of this, that you're willing to go
Yeah.
the next 10 years doing. But if you don't have that, then don't start.
So I want to ask you too. So you, while you were learning, right? You said that there's a lot of setbacks, right? Like you're trying to
Yeah,
learn something, it doesn't turn out like it should, especially when you see the level you need and you just know you're not there. How did
yeah.
you stay motivated? Because for me that was really hard. Like I thought of quitting so many times because my work just wasn't there. I was like, hey, maybe it's just not for me, right? So how did you handle that?
Well, well, okay. So it was a very peculiar situation. Like for me, I live on the extreme, meaning I put myself in a situation where it had to work or else.
Okay.
That's what it was for me. And
Yeah, there's no other
like
option.
every day, like every day I woke up, the first thing I did was I would eat, I would shower, and I was in front of my computer.
Mm,
Um, even when I was at the studio where I started off, I was there from Sunday to Sunday.
yeah,
I would
that's
come in the morning 11 a.m. and leave at midnight. That is how dedicated I was. That is how,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's how it was. I like I would submerge myself in everything animation to the point where all of my social media feeds was animation.
yeah. That makes sense though,
Everything
because
I
you
scrolled
need to
through.
do that, right? Because you're basically behind on everyone in the industry, so you have to
Exactly.
make up somehow. You have to make up
Yeah.
that level somehow, right? So you said you got your first job from that networking session, right?
Yeah.
In thing. How did you continue to get consistent work afterwards? Maybe we can talk about
Okay.
that now. And how do you continue to get consistent work? Because I know a lot
Okay.
of people,
So
once their contract is over, it's hard. It's hard to find more work, you know?
okay. So for me, I feel like my situation is a bit unique because
Okay.
even though I am a freelance animator, I have now aligned myself with a group of freelance animators, people that they bid for projects or whatever. And if there's some, if on the project there's a slot where my skills are needed, I get a call, I get an email, I get a message. Hey Francis, we have this project going on. Would you like to jump on board? And the answer is
Nice.
always yes for me because I'm never gonna say no because this is what I want to do. So, but for those that want to be freelance animators and for those that want to be submerged in animation work, the best thing I could say is to have a very strong portfolio. So a very strong portfolio, a good demo reel. And a lot of people might say, well, how do I create a demo reel if I've never worked on projects?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you fake it till you make it, buddy. You that's what it is. You design your own characters, you build your own rigs, you create test animations out of them. If you want to be a character animator, build your own characters. show
Yeah.
show show the people the people that you want to attract. Show them what you want. Tell them, this is what I want to be, a character animator. I want to build rigs. Build a rig, put it on YouTube,
Yeah.
show it to everybody. The right people will see it. The
The
right people
barriers to
will see
entry
it.
are super, super low right now too.
Exactly.
YouTube, LinkedIn. Do you ever use LinkedIn to network and
Yes.
stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I recently got this thing from I got this message from a guy, I think in Mexico. He has this animation project going on. He wants people to do what's it called, like effects animation, so like changing the line weight of the animation, like changing its color in certain places, doing
Hmm.
shadows, uh, that compositing stuff basically.
Yeah.
And so he sent over the NDA. I signed it, and then now I'm in this position where I'm just waiting for scenes to be sent over.
Nice.
It's really not that difficult if you know where to look. Yes, but like I was saying, if you have things to show, show it. That's
Okay.
that's that's all it is. Just show it. There are so many
Yeah.
platforms where recruiters are now using to find talent. If you know that these are the platforms, create a profile, put stuff out there. That's one of the
That's
best
huge.
things that you could do because
Yeah.
some every people are looking right now. Right now, there are so many projects going on that they need animators, and there's not
Yeah.
enough. There's not
Yeah.
enough animator.
I know.
Because I
Yeah. And you just got to take that first step. Even if it's not, you don't think it's good enough, you just have to kind of,
That's
I guess,
fine.
do it anyway.
That's
Right.
fine. You create something that you feel like it's not good enough. You put it out. You still post it, and people will tell you what you're doing wrong.
Yeah. And then that way you can kind of move forward. That's
Exactly.
super, super important. You don't get stuck on one little project for so long. But
Exactly.
yeah. And I guess last thing we can talk about this is how do
Yeah.
you balance so many projects? Like burnout is a real thing, man. And I
It
don't,
is. It
how do
is.
you find that
And
balance?
I have been I have been how would I put it? I'm still feeling the after effects of burnout. I used to burn the kind of both ends all the time. During the day, I would be consuming media from videos or whatever. I would be practicing my own stuff, and then sometimes at night I would do work, and then so physically it was not the best thing for me. But at the time, I figured I need to be this immersed in what I'm doing so I can be successful, and that was my mindset.
Yeah.
And for a while, when I was younger, it was working. But when you start creeping on 30, it doesn't work. So what I've had to do is I've had to table some of the things that I want to do and lower my expectations. Um,
Mm, okay.
for me, it was always about like targeting what I want to do and what I want out of it. So if today I want to do some rigging stuff, I would do some rigging stuff. I would spend the day doing some rigging stuff, and then I wouldn't come back to rigging in a week or 2 weeks, just to
So
allow
great.
myself to get some rest in between, take a break, or do something else.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like if you're somebody like me that's very ambitious in your head, like it's burnout is something that you will experience inevitably because um, but the best thing to do is just tailor your expectations. Have a plan, like an actual solid plan, like a roadmap where you want to go, the things that you need to do. And if it feels like a mountain, chip at it. Take small pieces out of that mountain and work on those pieces because eventually those pieces will pile up, and then at the end of the journey, you will see that. Like as I say, if you expect to do this over like a 2 year period, at the end of those 2 years, you recognize when you look back, you're like, wait, I don't remember doing all of this because it piles up. So take
Yeah.
everything in
Not
strides
things that
and do things by pieces. That's the only way. Otherwise, you
yeah.
have bags under your eye. Caffeine will be your best friend.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Maybe
your actual
depression sets
health
in.
is not going to be good. Like,
Yeah.
a
So
lot of
to take it
animators are
from
really unhealthy.
yeah, take it from me, somebody that's gone through it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Game
No,
plan. Get
that's
up,
really,
make a
really good
plan
advice.
and execute because a roadmap is something like every successful person can tell you that they use them a roadmap and they executed, and that's how they were able to get from point A to point B. It took them some
Yeah.
time, but they got there.
Planning is
Um,
huge. Like
it is, it is,
it's so
and
important, even to like a show in the industry. Everyone there's people they hire to plan it out,
exactly.
right? So
No one person does everything, and that's another thing. I mean I still struggle with wrapping my head around it because, like I said, I started off wanting to be able to do a little bit of everything, but then
yeah, you were saying before.
yeah. So when I started off, I started with wanting to do everything, but like my time in the animation industry, my time working on these projects, I come to realize that everybody has their part to play. Everybody
Yeah,
has their hand on the wheel. Everybody is assigned a certain thing to get done so that the entire project can move forward. No one person. Just because you can do 3 or 4 things doesn't mean that you have to do 3 or 4 things. That's very
yeah,
important. Most times you wouldn't even get flagged for doing more than one thing. Sometimes your
yeah,
skills in animation outweigh your skills in rigging, and that's where they want you. So it
yeah.
really
They don't
does it
need you to
really
be
does depend,
everything.
and that's something
I
I had
worked
to
on a show
learn.
where it's just like you're a pose artist. You just pose out the characters and send them to animation, right? Or
I
it's cool. It's kind of
remember
cool. to see how everything comes together, it's really awesome. I love that.
I remember I worked on the show, and I posed one shot. One shot. I did posing for one shot, and it was sent over to somebody else to animate. And everything else I did was there were these props that needed to rig. I just did rigging for props, and that was it.
Yeah,
and that was it.
that helps,
You know,
man.
so I where was I? After I started working on, it was only after I started working on uh, these animated shows that I realized that, you know what, this is something that I will continue to do. And I realized that even though that I'm working on these things in the beginning, I needed to be better. I needed to continuously evolve with the industry, because new techniques are always being invented. Things are being done differently all the time. The software never stays the same. Look at like Toon Boom Harmony. Toon Boom Harmony has
Yeah,
undergone so many transformations
yeah,
that if
it's
especially
crazy.
as a freelance artist, like if like you need to stay ahead of the curve, because the last thing you want is when you jump on a project and you're the only person that does not know what's happening.
Yeah,
You don't want that
yeah.
at all.
You want to be
So
useful, right? You want people to come to you
exactly,
for answers,
exactly,
right? That's good.
exactly. So is there anybody in the chat right now? All
I don't think so. I think
right, cool.
there were a couple people, but oh, what did I just press? No, that's me. No. But I think you can take us through if you want. Let me change the screen
Yeah.
to what we had before. And you can show us some of the projects you are actually working on, and that would be cool. So if there is anyone in the chat, you guys can post your questions in the comment section, and we can answer them towards the end. But right now, Francis is going to take us through some of his freelance work, his personal projects, and yeah, we'll take it away.
Yeah. So right, I remember I was doing this project where I had to do a bunch of layouts and stuff. So I did this layout for this.
Because you do a little bit of everything for everyone watching. He
Yeah,
does
pretty much. Yeah,
backgrounds,
pretty much.
characters, animation, a little bit of everything.
And the main motivation behind that was like I wanted to create like my own stuff someday. And like since at the time I didn't really have access to other people, so for me it was if I cannot find other people to help me to work on my stuff, I might as well learn how to do
Yeah,
it.
you got to do it
Like
yourself.
before, I did not know how to do a single background. I did not understand how to draw backgrounds, layouts. I didn't understand perspective. None of that.
And you just
Nothing.
learn.
Zero.
That's super impressive, because that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to learn backgrounds, because like you need to do it if you're going to do your own projects. But now I
Yeah.
really suck at it.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna show some more background stuff that I did. I recently took
So
part in this project called The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Reanimated, and I need to stress for the internet, reanimated, not the official project. Um, what happened is like people they put together this project where they take an episode from the show, and then they ask people on the internet if they want like 10 seconds or 20 seconds to jump in and do their own thing in their own style, based
but
on
of the
what
same
was
show,
actually
the
done
same
of the
show.
same shot, right?
Oh,
Um,
okay,
so
interesting.
so I got mine, and the first thing I did was I did a little bit of research. As with anything that I do, I research. I open up my PRF, and I jump on the internet and I grab images, just like so I know what
Yeah,
I'm doing. So I say if I want to emulate the style of the show, I find the artists on Twitter. I found this guy. He was one of the background leads, and I went through his Twitter and I saw like he was posting images of the backgrounds that he would do for the episodes. And I just grabbed them. I just grabbed them, and then what I would do
nice.
is I would just look at them and see like what about this background can I take and add it into my own stuff. So like
Like
they
what
would
thing? Yeah, what
use like
things do you look at?
exact so like they would use like different types of brushes, like half tones, like the way
I
that they
see.
would color stuff, like the the line weight of the brushes, all of these things. I would just, yeah. Um, so I did this,
Nice.
and this
Oh, we have
this particular.
a question. You want to just answer the questions as they come in? So here's one.
Since
Since
you
you
want to
do
do
a bit of
everything.
everything, which aspect of animation process do you enjoy doing the most?
Okay, so um, all right, there's quite a few of them. I like doing the character animation because that's what I started off with. I love character animation. I like doing effects animation, like explosions, fire, dust. I love doing these things. Lighting and shadow, especially for like, especially effects animation that ties well with the character animation. So like I like effects animation that shares like a relationship with the character animation. So if let's just say the character is running through like a street, and he's kicking up dust. That dust does not exist without the character running through the street. So that's what I mean by the effects animation being having a relationship with the character animation. Um, well, now I like doing backgrounds because I spent some time learning how to do before background. They were my worst enemy. I did not like doing backgrounds at all. I did not like them at all. I was like, "Ugh, stop." But I took some time. I understood um, to the best of my ability how to draw certain things in different perspectives, the different types of perspectives, and for somebody that wants to jump into backgrounds and they don't know where to start, perspective is the best place to start. Like drawing simple shapes in different perspectives: 3 point perspective, 2 point perspective, worm's eye, bird's eye, the works, 5 point perspective. Like just go crazy and do not be afraid to fail. Um, I
I'm gonna do that.
I've done a little bit of storyboarding as well, um, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's my favorite.
No?
I do it out of necessity. So my favorites are background design, well, backgrounds and layouts, character animation, and effects animation, and maybe a little bit of compositing as well. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, yeah.
It's honestly insane how
Um,
you do so much. It's crazy. It's so
I'm not
cool.
saying that's the trick. I'm not saying. Oh, oh
Nice.
my goodness! I can remember the nights I would stay up just pulling my hair out. Why is this not working? Why does it not look good? And it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got
Um,
to be a little obsessed though, like that to be really good, you know? So
Listen,
it's super impressive to
obsessive
see, man.
is an understatement. I s- lis- I used to leave that place at midnight every day. I did not have a social life.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I did not have one. Like the first 5 6 years in my 20s,
Just
no
animating.
no
That's it.
parties, no carnival, no
There's no
alcohol,
time.
nothing, because that was
There's,
it. That was my
yeah,
was my whole life. No girlfriends, this and that. It was just that, because yeah, like I told you, I like to create these extreme situations where it's either this or that, and like I feel like I had to trick myself into believing that if this fails, there's nothing else, and that's what kept me going. And I just took that
yeah.
that 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 that, uh, that mindset, and I just translated it into everything else.
That's
And
good
at the
that
time,
that works for you. That mindset. I feel some people would just stress themselves out too much if they thought like that, you know? So it's good that motivated you and actually turned out good, you know? So
that's where the game plan comes in, because yeah, it's always going to be stressful if you're undertaking something new, especially if you're learning it by yourself.
mm,
But having a plan,
yeah.
finding out where to source your information is a big one. You have to know that the information that you are consuming is coming from a legit source. That's why
What are some
if you're
legit sources that you used? Maybe we can
okay,
tell people a couple now.
so like I said, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, but the YouTube videos that I watched, the people that were creating them, they were industry people, the people that
Yeah.
actually
Who
worked in
do you remember
animation.
their names? Who were they?
All right, so the first one was Cubum Lee. I remember Cubum Lee
Mhm.
very well because he's the goat. Um, Recently, I've been watching videos from this Canadian woman. Her name is Jackie. Uh, her last name is Jackie Drew something. I can't remember her last name.
Yeah, we'll
Let's
look it
see.
up.
But she works in animation. She works in she does character design, and she's really good. So I watched some of her videos. I even started watching. Uh, she did this short film recently, and I was so involved with what she was doing. She made this behind the scenes that she would explain everything. She had this entire TikTok series. I
Okay.
used to watch all of them, and then she finally put the video out, and then she put it on YouTube, and I was just like, Jesus Christ. And the reason why I like her stuff so much is because she reminds me of me. That she in the video series, the behind the scenes, she mentioned that she did not know how to use Blender, and she learned Blender from scratch simply to
Wow.
create like the background, because she knew what her background was. Her backgrounds were going to be. She knew the setting based on the script and her storyboard. She knew that the space is going to be a confined space. So she figured, maybe if I learn how to use Blender and I build my background base in Blender, then maybe I could just move the camera around and just create screenshots, and I could just do my backgrounds off of that. That was freaking genius. That was a
Yeah,
genius
that's
that she
big.
did that, and she put everything out there for everybody to see. And I was just swallowing all of that. And I was like,
That's
yeah,
huge.
go through all of the
I'll
stress.
try and
So
find it. That sounds really useful.
what I'll do is I will send you a link to her profile so that you can check it out, because like her
Oh,
stuff is
nice.
very, very informative. Very, very, very informative.
That's
Um,
huge.
I I used to have, well, I think I still do. Like I would source out these like digital art books. So like so if I watch this animated movie that I really liked, I would just
Hmm.
like grab the art book and then just go through the art or whatever. Um, I There is one person that I also liked as well, Dana Therese. She's the creator of the animated series The Owl House.
Okay.
Yep. So before Dina started creating her show, she was an art student. And I used to follow her stuff when she was an art student. She would post like videos of her sketchbooks, and like I would follow that, and I would watch her videos or whatever. And it was like, and when I recognized that she also worked in animation, I I subscribed to her to all of her social media posts or whatever. And then when I recognized that she was doing her own show, I tuned in even harder. And then now she's one of the people that I look up to. I look at her stuff all the time. Like whenever her posts come up on
Nice.
Twitter, her drawings or whatever. Um,
That's good, man. So like you have a whole bunch of basically like a whole bunch of mentors that you can have instant
yeah,
access to wherever.
instant. And
That's
that is the
really sweet.
beauty of social media. That is the beauty of utilizing social media in a positive way to influence your work and your
Yeah,
growth.
it's huge. Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree. So speaking
So
of
the
work, what else
second,
you got going on here?
yeah. So I'm just gonna show. I had a chance to work on Amphibia Reanimated. So this is a background that I did for it. This is
Nice.
another one,
And then
and
you'd
I'm
bring all
going
these into
to
Toon Boom, right? Like you'd
into Toon Boom.
or
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open up the animation files for the stuff for Amphibia, and I will
Yeah,
give
show us.
you guys a quick breakdown of my animation process. Um, the stuff that I did for Amphibia is I did it in frame by frame animation, because I figured if I was going to grow in frame by frame animation, I would have to undertake a few projects. So I
Of
figured
course.
if I'm going to get better at frame by frame animation, I might as well do everything from scratch. And that is what I did, like an absolute madman. Right, so I'm going to start off with this scene in particular.
Nice.
I'm going to select the character.
All right.
All right, so I did all of my rough animation in another file, and then what I did was I transferred those roughs into a new file, and I did my line art and my color art, because at the time I did this, my computer wasn't the best, So in order to minimize the size of the files, I did that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's actually a smart way to work if you have a really like not a
yeah.
great computer.
I had this.
Nice.
I had an external drive, like an external SSD,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was big enough to hold all this. So memory was not my issue. But storage was not my issue. The issue I had was with my RAM. I didn't have enough RAM. The
yeah.
computer wasn't built for Toon Boom Harmony. So that's what I was facing at the time, and I figured I'm not going to make that stop me. So I split all the workload into different files, and the most
Nice,
important ones like the line art and the color art, I did it in one file, and then I just brought everything together with the background and the compositing.
nice. Yeah, some of these
Um,
files can get pretty big.
Very big, very
It's good
big.
to know how to do that. So let's see. Let's see this guy. That looks great, actually.
So
Wow.
this is the line art and the color art separated on the layers. And then you have this guy, Sprig.
Nice. And to do your cleanup, do you use the pencil tool, the line tool? Like, what do you like to use? The shape tool? I
Right.
know
So
some people like that.
I like to jump in between the polyline tool
Okay.
and the pencil tool. The pencil tool is pretty much well, the polyline tool is pretty much the pencil tool with extra steps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. Nice. Because I don't really do too much cleanup, to be honest. But yeah, I think it's a nightmare to
Well,
do.
oh, it is, especially if you're doing it for the first time. But
Yeah.
this is the first thing that I really did where I wanted to showcase like my frame by frame animation skills, my knowledge of the software, and everything that I've been learning up until then. So it was a
Nice.
very first like to use Tool Boom in that way. And let me tell you, it was stressful. It was
Okay.
stressful.
I mean, it turned out good, and you could probably use this. Like, did you use it for like your demo reel and stuff when you were applying for jobs, or no? This was just strictly just to get
Well,
better.
for some, well, I used this to apply for other reanimated projects, but I didn't
Okay.
use because this content is not mine. I in the long run, it does not belong to me, and at any point in time, the owners could just say, "I want you to stop using this." So I didn't
I
want to
see.
include it in my own stuff, just in case.
I get it.
You know,
Yeah, I guess the whole reanimated thing. Nice,
yeah,
but it got you
yeah.
other cool projects
Oh
to
yeah.
get more skills. That's cool. Nice. And how did you do the lights? Do I see the little like rim lights on the characters, or is that?
Yeah, so that's a little bit of that's a bit of compositing. Let me just
Hmm.
jump into the node view, the scariest part of Toon Boom Harmony.
Only when you start out though. Afterwards, it
Yeah,
becomes your best
yeah.
friend. Like
The thing that the
right now,
trick,
I'm more scared of the timeline than the node view, to be honest.
yeah,
Timeline
I
makes
am
me
very
nervous.
intimate with the node view. Very.
Oh
Remember, I
yeah.
started off with puppet animation, and when you start off learning how to rig, like you get thrown into the node view. But the great thing about the node view is if you keep the node view clean, you have no problems with like tracking your nodes, making sure
Oh
like
yeah.
if your connections are in the right place, etc. And with the newer versions of Toon Boom Harmony, they introduced this thing called the backdrops, which is bloody genius. Love
Yeah.
it. I use it
Super
all
useful.
the time. So on my character, I have the highlight node. You can select your color, the intensity, etc. You can even
Okay.
add things like the types of blue, etc. So like all these things that you would normally have to do in After Effects, you could do it right here in Toon Boom Harmony. Another genius move.
Yeah, I love that.
And I just added like this apply transformation node onto the highlight, which what it does, it allows you to project the image that you like the image of the character onto the
Yeah.
character itself and use the information from the highlights to add the effects. So I created this
Yeah.
cool little rim light that I learned from Cubomly, the goat,
Uh-huh.
and
Nice.
I have it
Yeah, it looks
I have
good.
it all the way in the scene. This is what my node view looks like. And it's fairly simple. You can see all these things. It's a bunch of trial and error. At first, when I started off, I wanted to create rigs for these characters, but I was like, nah, it'll take too much time.
Yeah, and it would
And
make your scene way too heavy too.
way too heavy, exactly. Um, but what I did was since I started off with like a puppet background, even though I was doing frame by frame stuff, I still had the ability to break certain things down. So like with this character, her eyes are separate.
I see. Yeah. So you separated the parts, so you can still kind of animate it with pegs, but then you can
Exactly.
draw your. The show I'm working on now, they do their rigs like that. They're like rigs,
Yeah.
but they're very simple rigs. There's no deformers, nothing. You basically redraw a bunch of stuff. It's kind of cool,
Yes.
but yeah,
Yes.
it's
I
just a
love
different way of
it.
working.
So you have
Makes
this
sense
here,
though.
and I use the different types of drawing layers as well to stack things on top of things as well.
Mm.
Again, the idea is to make sure that everything could be married together properly on the same layers without having the file become very, very heavy. So I have the color art for the bottom area of her, like the stuff that she's in on a different one. I have the line out here. I have this here. So everything is really just
Yeah. You basically have like 4 separate layers on each drawing node, which is kind of
pretty
nice.
much.
I like that in Toon Boom. Lots
And
of
then
ways to mix and match.
I just added like a cutter to separate it. And what I would
Smart.
do is I would hover in between the render view and the OpenGL to make sure that the cutter was in the right place. And all
Nice.
of
It
these
looks good.
effects I painted it in Clip Studio Paint.
Are they on a separate layer, the lights, or no? The background's just one flat layer.
Yeah, for this I made the background into one thing because I didn't need to have something separate at the time.
I see.
But I have this here. I have these are the mushroom glows. So I added the glow node and the blending node so I could create like these blending layers in Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint. You can pretty much do that in your compositing. So I just added a little extra something.
Nice, man. It looks good. It looks like a finished, like an overall finished scene, and it's pretty simple. Like
that's what I wanted.
Nothing crazy going on there at all, but it looks great.
Not a lot of work, great outcome. And the same thing can be said. Same thing can be said for this guy.
Is this a different project?
No, it's the same project but a different shot. The shot was separated into 2 parts.
Oh, nice.
So it's the same background, the same one image background. So I did a little bit of effects animation as well. Again, I wanted to show, people that I could do stuff. So I went the entire extra mile. So the character comes in. There's a little bit of lip sync.
Nice. And this is all hand drawn too, yeah?
All hand drawn stuff, yeah. And then he walks inside. So everything that I did for this is like everything that you could do in the software, as well. So like the use of nodes to create different effects, like to create masks, frame by frame animation, understanding how to create backgrounds, importing the backgrounds into Toon Boom. Everything that I was learning in those years, this thing that I did was the final culmination, and I was so proud of it because listen, a lot of headache.
It looks like a professional shot. How did you get him to go inside the door? Is that a cutter or is it on a separate?
Cutter, yes, a cutter. So it's just regular background. Oh, nice. So just 2 layers.
Yeah, look at that. Eh? It's literally seamless. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess like if you have the time to do this, I feel studios would like this. If you have a shot that you submit to them and you say, hey, like I did everything in this shot and it looks this good, then that
was the plan.
Yeah,
that was the plan because
the problem
I know what they're looking for.
Yeah, the problem is people will do it, but it won't look this good. You know what I mean? So like if that's the case, maybe focus on just one thing. I don't know. but this looks great. Like this would definitely is really good to get you to put in even in your demo reel. I think something like this. It shows that you know how to use the program. It shows that you can do effects. It shows that you can do some compositing and stuff. It just shows you're comfortable in the software.
Maybe I should reconsider then.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe I
What
should
else you
reconsider
got?
putting this.
I love this, man. Oh my god, I could literally watch you show me work all night. Yeah,
And
if
this
anyone has
is
any
what it's starting
questions
off
about
with.
these shots, if anyone has any questions, post them in the chat. Francis can answer them.
Yes,
What is
I
it?
started off with doing, so that's what I did. I just did like quick sketches of the character with like little variances, and then I didn't really do much. I didn't do like a full turnaround or whatever, because I already knew
Yeah,
what the character was supposed to look like, and I had references. So I did that, and then I just started doing my roughs and whatever. Yeah. So another one.
So would you say when you're doing traditional animation, it's important to like just do some sketches of the character first, like take the model sheet, kind of sketch it on your own before you start
Yeah.
animating and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, because the thing about it is you need to know the character intimately because you draw it if you want to draw the character over a period of time. That's why whenever I do, especially reanimated projects, I like to draw the character as much as possible because the last thing you want, even though you have your references, if you could draw the character without looking at the character, that's a plus. That's a plus already. So like
Yeah,
understanding the character's curves, how certain elements work for the characters. Like if the character's limbs bend with a wide curve or small, like all of these things, drawing the character helps. And the more intimately that you know the character before jumping into animation, the better.
super
100%.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm going to show you the stuff I did for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reanimated. It's a mouthful to say, cheese.
Nice. Yeah. Have you seen the new trailer for that? There's like they're making a new movie of it. Looks
The
pretty good.
3D one? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
it
Amazing.
looks crazy. It's like the Spider-Verse kind of. The effects
Listen,
and stuff they do.
listen, I think a few years ago I was saying there's so much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles content. What else can they do? Boom.
Yeah.
And with the new techniques that was introduced to the animation world after Spider-Verse,
Everyone's doing it now.
everybody's doing it. So, yep,
Yeah.
I understand because it works. It's really good, and the animation community in Hollywood is very small. Everybody knows each other.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody
I mean,
knows
I
each
guess
other.
so.
And these guys, they like they're friends. Some of them went to school together, so like obviously they're taking notes and making sure that there was this interview. This guy was talking about how he was working on this new Disney film with the elementals or whatever. Like, I don't know if that's the name.
I've seen a
Right.
commercial of that.
So the guy, he was saying that while he was working on that stuff, he got to see the Spider-Verse movies, and then that gave him some ideas to now. And then so now he went back now, and then everything that he saw and he learned and he was introduced to, that he added that. With his own flair, of course, but he added it into the film, and it
Yeah,
shows
you can tell. It's so cool.
I feel like the same thing.
It really gives, even though it's kind of the same kind of look, it gives each movie like a very unique feel, which is nice. It's nice to see that in animation, because a lot of the times, a lot of animated movies or whatever, they all look the same. Like, I hate to say it, but like, it's easy to fall into that trap. Even with TV shows, a lot of TV shows look the same. So it's nice to see something different every now and then. So for this shot, you did backgrounds, characters,
everything.
Nice.
Everything. So some of these things, some of these reference material was provided in the Discord group, and I just used it. So.
And you have to apply for these reanimated things, or can anyone just do it? Like for people watching, if they want to try some animation
anybody
stuff,
can apply. It's just like applying for a normal animation job. You have like a real, like once you have something to show these guys that, hey, I can do this.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Okay,
So
that's
they
cool.
told me, Francis, yeah, you can join. And I've been watching the Turtles from the time I was a little boy. So I figured, might as well do it. Might as well give myself something to do because
Yeah,
at the time I started doing it, I didn't really have anything going on. I figured I might as well just stay busy.
yeah.
Uh,
Keep yourself busy. Looks cool.
exactly. So I showed you guys the backgrounds already. Now I'm just going to scrub through the shots so that you can see what's going on with the characters.
Oh, look at that smear. That looks great.
Oh yeah.
That looks good. Yeah, look at those poses, man. Nice poses. That looks awesome.
So what's happening is the first background is fading into the other background.
Ah, cool.
It wasn't very long. It's like 84 frames. I figured since it's not a lot of animation, I might as well just go ham.
So there's two backgrounds. You drew two backgrounds for this shot
Yes,
and just faded
two
them in.
backgrounds.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pull them up again. So this is the first one, and this is the second one.
I see. That's cool. That's like seamless, man. What a seamless transition. That looks good.
So these are my guides, my perspective guides that I created, and then from the since the background already existed, I didn't have much to imagine. You understand? Versus doing a background on my own from scratch.
Yeah.
So I just used the reference and I just did it.
Nice. Yeah, I feel that's a big theme of this talk. Just do it. Just
do it.
Try it.
Just do it. You fail, learn from your failures, and continue. The question is how much steam you have. That's the question.
That's super good advice, I think.
So there's
awesome.
that.
Nice. Yeah, it must be cool to do all these reanimated ones. Like, it must keep you so busy, like, and you're still connecting with other animators too. Like, I've never even thought about doing that, to be honest.
That's the plan. Like for me, I feel like if I'm bored, I want to be engaged in something productive, and that's the overachiever in me. But if I'm going to use this toxic trait, I might as well use it to benefit me. So if I'm bored, I'm going to do something. If I'm going to do something, it might as well be animation. You know, you get what I'm saying? So
yeah, I get it. Yeah, honestly, man, I really applaud you for doing like all this work and then all these personal projects. Like after work, I'm usually just like, I don't even want to look at any animation or anything anymore. You know?
Yeah, no.
I wish I could be more like that.
I keep it going and going and going and going.
Yeah, that's huge.
The only time I stop is when I'm asleep.
Even then, not really.
But even then, I'm dreaming of animation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I did this.
Nice. So this background seems like a different style, no, than the other ones.
So I did this small project for a local company, a small local company.
Okay.
And I should have the other file. Why didn't I take
like
it
a
out?
commercial? Like a commercial for them?
Yeah, like pretty much. And it's the company is like a detergent company, like soap, so like washing soap. And then he wanted me to create this thing, so he sent over the idea. I did the script, and it was hella underpaid, but I did it anyway. Yeah, so I did the background as usual, and I did the animation as well. So this is a loop, and I layered it from Photoshop. So I broke it down. I didn't want to use masks this time. So like I broke this down. That's the door.
So when you imported it, each piece was on a different layer in Photoshop, and then you imported it by did you group it or no, just by layer?
It was grouped. Yeah, it was grouped. Like yeah. it has to be grouped because of how Toon Boom's technology is, how it
Yeah,
reads
you get
Photoshop files. So I have that as well. And it's just a loop.
nice. Well, we got another question. So, what's your ultimate goal? To set up your own studio, become a producer or director? Do you have an ultimate goal? That's a great question. I'll leave it up. Here.
Once upon a time, I wanted to own my own studio, but things changed when the Fire Nation attacked. I'm just messing around. But yeah, I once upon a time I did want to have my own studio, but then I realized the amount of stress and nah, not about that anymore. The thing about a studio is it's an actual business, and if you ask anybody that's an entrepreneur, they'll tell you that it is stressful. Now, I'm already under so much stress as a freelancer. I'm not about to go. No. You need to be a special type of person to manage an entity like a business. You need to have a special type of temperament, and I've come to realize that I don't have it, and there's no shame in that. So ultimately, I'm going to continue creating as much animation as I can for as long as possible. Um, and if anything else happens, then it happens. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But for now, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing right now. I love animation. I live, I breathe, I eat, I sleep, I consume animation on a crazy level. People might even say on an obsessive level, and that's enough to keep me going for the next couple of years. I'm
Nice.
pretty
You never
sure that
thought of
those that
being a director? You never thought of trying to get into directing or something?
not really. I I don't know what it takes to be a director though. I've never really had a conversation with people that have done directing per se. So I don't really know what it takes to be a director. Um, so no, realistically no. But the closest thing to directing I think I've ever done was like storyboarding. I did
Mm.
I did some storyboards for this children's show. It's this stuff that thing I was looking on. I really wish I could have showed it to you guys on stream, but you know how NDAs are.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we get that.
yeah,
Maybe next
there's
time. Maybe next time.
yeah, there's so much stuff that I would want to show, but I didn't get any permissions from the people that I signed the NDA with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did 10 storyboards, 9 storyboards. They were like 6-minute episodes for this
That's a
children's
lot,
show.
actually.
Listen, it is the hardest thing I ever did in my life. In everything I've ever done in animation, that was the hardest thing I ever did in my entire life. I swear to
Really?
God.
What was so hard? What was
Hardest
so hard
thing.
about it?
Okay, so I always did like storyboards like on my own, like to practice or whatever. But then
Hmm.
like when people call your bluff and they're like, all right, yeah, you want to do storyboards? Look, do storyboards. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. Being the yes man that I am, I said, okay, sure. Um, but it wasn't scary in the sense that I did not know how to do the job. It was scary in the sense that it was a first for me, and it was such a big deal. And the storyboarding process is a very integral part of the entire animation pipeline.
Yeah.
So you
It's
have a lot
huge.
of people depending on you. So like that sort of pressure was building up in my mind, and I like to overthink already. So
Did you
I'm
work with
doing the
anyone?
job, and I'm like, okay, what if this isn't good enough? What if I have to do more outtakes? What if like all these things that to set in as an artist or whatever.
Yeah.
But one thing that kept me going, kept me doing those boards was the fact that I knew what I was doing. You see, I mean, yes, there were errors. Yes, there were things that the clients would want in a different way, interpreted in a different way. But that's based
Yeah.
on personal preferences, etc. These things can all change. But what I maintain is that the skill was there, so that's what kept me going.
Yeah.
So I
You
never
never
really
felt
doubted
lost
my
in your
skill.
job. Like
Exactly.
you always,
You know,
that's important.
it was a whole bunch of external things that maybe I had control of, but in the moment it was just. But it really
Yeah.
was the hardest thing because there was a lot of back and forth. I hate dealing with clients, and this is something that a freelancer shouldn't say, but
From
I
the
hate
freelance
dealing.
animator.
I hate dealing with clients. It is a skill in and of itself.
Yeah,
It
that's
really
tough.
is.
It's tough to do. It's tough to manage
Really,
both.
because you're dealing with people. That's
Hmm.
what it is. You're dealing with people, and then you want them to spend money. So like you have to be nice, and then you have to find polite ways to tell them, oh, this may not translate as well as you think that it should. And if you have a client that's difficult and they're adamant about putting things in a certain way, you just say yes and you do it. And if it does not look the way that they want, it's fine. You wanted it, but guess what? You're gonna have to pay me to do it again.
Yeah, you
So
got to
most
make sure
most
they're
times you try
paying.
to, and that's one of the things. That's
Have
one
you
of the things that
had
I do.
bad stories like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
nightmare
yeah.
clients?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I can imagine.
So much so that I've given up on doing work local. I don't do any more local work.
No?
I no. If
That
anybody
bad?
comes to me, if I get any emails, I get referrals locally, I don't take them anymore.
Nothing.
No.
Wow. Well, at least you
Majority
know
of my
now.
work. Oof, painful.
I-
You know,
That's a big part of freelance too. You go through the bad clients, you know what you don't
yep.
want, you know how to handle it better. It's all a learning process, I guess, right? And it's all super, super important skills to have.
Oh yeah.
It's all
Um, and as a freelancer, and I think that also ties into being an entrepreneur, which also ties into being a studio owner or whatever. Like there's a lot of business practices that you need to employ for yourself because you work for yourself. Nobody does it for you. So like a lot of things like bookkeeping, accounting,
yeah, huge.
contracts, drafting contracts, being able to interpret contracts, being able to spot like clauses, all these things, being
Yeah.
able to to draft proposals. And there's a lot of things that behind the scenes like a lot of people don't see because it's not because you're an artist or whatever, but you really
Yeah.
are you're really a business person. You understand? You're everything
So
in
I
one.
on that topic too. Now, maybe some people are wondering, like, if they're trying to get into freelance, how do you, like, if you're comfortable talking about this, obviously,
Right? Yeah, yeah.
like, how do you assign your rate? How do you tell people how much you charge? Like, how do you figure that out? How do you get
Okay,
something that's
so
fair, but at the same time, like something that works for you and you actually make some money?
right, so there's a so in the beginning what I did was like I did some research and I figured out what like the average prices that freelance animators would charge,
Okay.
um, and and how they would charge because a lot of freelancers they work by the hour.
Yeah.
Sometimes that like, especially when I'm taking on like local work, sometimes that doesn't really translate well. So what I do I have like package deals. So let's just say if you want like 30 seconds of animation, depending on how complex it is, how many characters, how many backgrounds I have to do or whatever, I have a package price. So let's just say uh, I have to do like a 30-second commercial with 4 characters. That could easily be like $1,500.
I see. So you
So
like package it up. That's nice,
yeah,
actually.
and
Easy
for
to
me,
send.
like based on where I live, like I also have to keep in mind like the currency conversion as well. So like from
Yeah.
my currency, which is Eastern Caribbean dollars, I think it's $2.50. $2.50 Eastern Caribbean dollars is to one US. So one US dollar is $2.50.
Damn, yeah.
So I have to keep all these things in mind while charging. So depending on, I would like to have a flat fee all around, but it doesn't work that
You
way,
can.
especially for where I am. I cannot charge the same prices that I would charge somebody in the US in my
Yeah.
country.
No, of course not.
Absolutely
Right.
not. I would love to, but
You no, you lose so much.
you know.
So that's good. So basically, every project you do, you see what it's about, what country it's from, and then you kind of make your price there.
It varies. But recently I've been doing these projects with the people that I work with, like the group of people. And like I said, like whenever they have something, they say like, "Yo, Francis, you want to jump on this? We need somebody to do character designs. We have turnarounds. You redesign the character, give us an expression sheet, give us the full 360 turnaround, and that's easily going to cost like $1,000. And that's
Nice.
One character. That is great.
Great.
Of course. That would easily take me about like a week to get done with like with back and forth. Like if a little bit of time in between for like revisions, the back and forth between me and the supervisor and the supervisor and the clients, like so like it's all about how much time that you're willing to spend on the task at hand versus the price. And that takes some time to figure out, because not everybody is willing to charge the same, not everybody is willing to do the same amount of work for a specific amount of money. So it really does depend.
Nice.
I've also taken on projects where I've never really benefited financially, but mainly because I realized that, okay, that this project has enough prestige that if I put it in my reel, you know, so it's a lot of sacrifice. It's never black and white. There's a lot of gray area in between with every process, with every contract.
That's a good point too. I feel a lot of people too, when they're starting out, it's like they don't want to do a project if they're not getting paid, but at the same time, sometimes the name, it's worth it, right? Or like maybe sometimes the experience rather.
I didn't make money for about 6-7 months.
Yeah. Exactly. You gotta sometimes just suck it up and do the work to get work to show, right? So,
but what I like is like, okay, well, what affords me the ability to have content to show people is the fact that I could take part in these internet projects and give my all. That's why whenever I do them, I like to spend the time and the energy to make sure that it is properly polished. Because yes, I'm a part of this project. Yes, I'm not getting paid, but at the end of the day, I did it. My name goes on that piece of artwork, and I could use it for my own self promotion. So like it helps. Like it's a win-win, So, and if you can create those win-win situations when you've just begun, especially in animation, if you're confident in your skill enough, take part. And even if you're not confident in your skill, take part. These projects are basically everywhere. They're free. Just join. If you make a mistake, that's fine. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to judge you. They're easily going to tell you, okay, you're a beginner, no pressure off, that's fine. Just do it. Because the experience of starting and finishing a project, which is very important. A lot of people start projects and then they just never finish them.
Yep.
If you can train yourself to start a project, start a piece of animation, something, even if it's 10 seconds, 3 seconds, start and finish it and learn from that experience, you get it.
I find that's big too. Like the projects I've started and finished, like maybe at the time I didn't think they were that great, but then the next one you do, it gets a little easier. And it gets easier to finish it. It gets easier to plan to finish it. You can see the finish line before you start. And then it just becomes like a natural thing. It's just, I'm going to start this and I'm going to finish it. There's no question about it, right? It's really, really helpful. And I definitely agree with you.
It really is. And that's why I love attaching myself to these reanimated projects, because it gives me something to do. There's structure. There's a game plan. There's somebody else is managing the entire thing, so you don't have to worry about management. You get the scenes. You get the boards if there are any boards. You already have some of the material online waiting, so like it's right there for you. So all you have to do is figure out how I'm going to animate this thing and make it the best I can do at the moment. That's all you have. That is really why I love these projects. I did this. I was working on this project where I had to create like some assets, um, and I did this. So what I would
Was
do
this
is I
for
would
like
create them. Yeah, it was for a project. Yeah.
okay.
So what I would just create the assets, and then you could just export them as like a PNG, and then just bring it into Toon Boom. So I show this just to hammer in the point that just because you're working in animation doesn't mean that you have to stick with animation. There's so much out there that you could do so
Hmm.
much. Like the animation pipeline comprises so many different jobs. Like you could do, like you said, you could do posing, you could
Everything.
do character design, you could do props, you could rig props depending on the project that you're on. You could be a color specialist. And there's so much. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
Um, and I do it all. Design
Yeah.
this,
I'm telling you,
this,
man, you're
this.
probably like one of the only people I've seen who can do everything like this well. You know what I mean? Like this is
This
pretty
it
rare to see.
was a lot of hard work, a lot of
Yeah, man.
sleepless nights, a lot of sourcing out the information. Um, I remember there's this guy. What's his name? Bobby. I can't remember his name. I think he's one of the founders of Schoolism. Um, and that's why I like Schoolism as well, because Schoolism has not just videos tutorials on how to how to create art or whatever. Like they talk about so much more, like the philosophical aspects of
Oh,
being
really?
an artist. Like it was, as a young artist, as a young animator, I feel like it's very important to hear those stories from these guys because they work in the industry. um, I'm pretty sure they've encountered a lot of these types of problems. So like any information that you can get from these guys, it is worth it. I mean, the price for Schoolism is,
It's like a subscription, right? And you get
yeah,
access to all their
and,
courses.
and compared to everything else, it's very cheap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Plug for schoolism. Nice.
yeah, they're really great.
Check them out.
Their content is what like really got me, like the structure per se. Um,
Hmm.
because when I started off, I did not know where to go. All I had was YouTube. So
Yeah,
it
and
was
that's the part.
Schoolism.
That's the hard part of learning
Uh,
by yourself is like getting a roadmap that leads you to the
yeah,
right place. Like, you know, that was
there.
the hardest part for me too.
I think
So
Skillshare.
what was this character? This character was
All right, so this
for like
character is she's a shopkeeper. I think it was for a project that I was doing, and I sent the quotation in for the to the client. They agreed to pay, but then there was some mishap within the process, the entire process, and they decided that they did not want to do it anymore, which is what
mm,
I figured happened because of the way that the conversation dynamic was. So
yeah.
yes, I'm able to spot that very quickly. So what I did was I figured if there's a chance that I might not be paid for this, I'm not going to put in as much work as I should. So at first
And
I
you can't
designed,
though. Yeah, you can't do that.
exactly. So I designed this one first, and then I got some feedback saying that this character is she's too young, and then I did this. So based on this one, I aged it up a little bit. So
Nice.
this is actually the first thing I did. I did this sketch. Um, then I did this. I added the color to see, how she would look at color, whatever. Then I did her entire body. I
Super
think I have
interesting.
another file with a full turnaround. Um, yeah. So when I jumped back in the software, I did this version, the older version of the character.
And this is what you
Um,
delivered to the client. You sent this over
yes.
to them.
Yeah. So I gave them the
Cool.
two versions. I showed them what the character was before and what the character
Hmm.
is now. So that there's less to complain about and whatever pick at. I gave them the color palette as well.
Oh,
So this is
nice.
what I sent over to them. Yeah, and I feel as a character designer in the animation industry, this is the basic. This is the basic of the basic.
Just like a
Very very
turnaround
basic.
and a front head.
Basic. This doesn't even have what do you call it? Like the expression chart. Doesn't even have an expression chart. I figured, hey,
Yeah.
I might not get paid, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Do the minimum, bare minimum.
But
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if
to
anyone in
be
the chat
honest,
is doing character design, but this is probably
yeah,
super useful to see.
it is. And the lines here are just guidelines to help. Um, so if you're creating the characters in the different views, you need all of the elements to be levels. Because when you flip the character in the different views for the turnaround, like the eyebrows are the same level, the eyes, the nose, the shoulders,
Yeah.
all these things. You could probably get a more in-depth explanation on a video on YouTube or Schoolwism or Skillshare or something.
Yeah, because they're tricky to do, especially like full body ones. They're very, very tricky. Surprisingly tricky to do.
I think the hardest thing I find about doing these character turnarounds is like maintaining the volumes in each view. That is the most difficult thing.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that 100%. I'm not good at doing these at all. I always just find some that are already done online, and I'll just trace over and like add a few different designs. But yeah,
so do you do character animation only, or do you do like extra stuff like in the animation?
Me, like
pipeline.
I'm strictly character animation. I probably could do some rigging now, just because I learned it for my animation, and I just know enough to. I probably could rig. But that's basically it. I don't really want to do anything else in my job, but maybe on my own, I would love to do some design or, backgrounds and stuff. It's just like, I don't know. It's what I'll just focus on it, get good at it, and that's it.
I mean, like if you, I have a bunch of stuff that I give out to my friends, like animation wise. Like if you wanted to, we could always talk about it later, and I can send it to you. I have like a bunch of videos. Tutorial stuff.
I would love that.
Stuff that I've paid for. Is just, I've watched it a couple of times. They're just there.
Yeah.
I give them to everybody. No, seriously, just last week I gave a bunch of storyboard stuff that I paid for to a colleague of mine. She was super grateful.
That's what I love about the industry too. It's pretty small, so like people will help you out like that. Like you barely even need to ask, and people love to just like share the knowledge and help you out. So it's really inviting that way.
Because I never understood gatekeeping knowledge. I never understood it. Never.
I don't get that either.
I can understand for financial gain, but that's capitalism. But for me, I never understood like gatekeeping, like knowledge and information. I remember when I was starting off, there were these DVDs and a PDF of Richard Williams. That was considered gold. And at the time, I remember I was with this guy, and I was telling him, we were working together. And I was like, so if you have the videos, why not just circulate them for everybody so that everybody could learn at the same pace? And he was being stingy or whatever. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
So I bought them.
It's crazy. The first time I saw those, my I took a animation course once in Mexico City, and the teacher had those files, and she just shared them with everyone. She shared them with the whole class, like no questions asked. She was super cool like that. And it's like, why not? Why not do that?
I bought and I just gave it to everybody else. So now the thing that you thought was making you special, everybody has it now. So what was the point?
It doesn't make any sense. It's good to share the knowledge. Really, and it's good to make everyone get better. It's always better.
That's what I'm saying. If everybody's good, then the entire team functions properly.
It never works if one person is just working all the knowledge.
One more thing to show.
So wait, why don't we go over, because I'm keeping you a long time. Why don't we go over that other one with that demon character? That was a cool one.
Yeah.
We can show that.
Oh wait, it's almost an hour already.
I know time is flying by. I was like, it's probably just going to be half an hour. It's like almost 2 hours. What files are they?
Beginners? I don't.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Can you give more context or?
Like what? Yeah. We'll see. Let's wait for him to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
a better question.
So I was messing around with some effects stuff, and I did this.
Oh, nice. Oh, the files that you shared. Like, what are some good files for beginners? Like the you mentioned the Richard Williams one.
Oh, right, yeah. Uh, what is it called? Let me let me see if I get it. He has a book. Um, it's called The Animator's Survival Kit,
Yeah,
and that
awesome.
book was animated. So he did some lectures while he was still alive, and those lectures they were recorded, and basically everything that he was talking about in those lectures they were in the animator's survival kit. If you want, you could go on Amazon right now and just type in the animator's survival kit, and you will find it.
Yeah, and they
I
made
don't know
videos
what
out of it basically that you can
Yeah,
watch, and they're super useful to watch because in
very.
the book it just shows step by step of what is animated, but in the videos you actually
It is.
see the
It
animation.
is the Bible. That is the animator's Bible. If
Yeah,
you're a
it's
beginner and you have the opportunity to get your hands on those videos and or the book, I recommend it 100%. It is the Bible. Explains everything, the fundamentals, what do you call it? The principles of animation, everything. It's in that book. That book is the Bible for animators. And every time I talk to people, I tell them, get that. Um,
maybe I'll try and find a link to it.
yeah, there is. Let me put this off screen. There
Well,
is
here,
a
wait a minute.
what's it called? Let me just find another thing to show you since he was asking about the basics.
Well,
I'll leave
here's a
mine.
PDF, guys. I'll post it in the comments. There's a PDF version of the Animator Survival Kit.
Oh, you have the PDF?
I just
Nice.
Googled it and it popped up. I'm not sure if it's. Well, let's see. No, it is. I think so. Yeah, this is it. You guys can check that out. It's good to have a physical copy too, but the PDF
Yep.
definitely helps.
There's a guy that makes videos on YouTube. His name is Tony Pantoja. I don't know if I'm
Oh
saying his
yeah,
name
I've heard
properly.
of him.
That guy, he has an animation course. It's called the Complete Introduction to 2D Animation. That
Is
thing
it
is
useful?
amazing. It is
Really?
amazing. It is amazing. Amazing.
Really?
I bought the entire thing. I
And
think it
worth
cost
it?
me
100%?
like 500 US. Oof, it's brilliant.
Damn. And like what you
There's
get, I guess, is
also
pretty good.
there's is it is it was it I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name. Aaron Blaze, isn't it? Aaron Blaze.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of animation courses. The one that I got from him was advanced animation separating performance from mechanics. It is
Yeah.
amazing. It is amazing. If you want a full in-depth understanding of character acting in character animation, I just get it. He has his
Yeah. And
sales all the time.
yeah, even for him, it's like if you sign up to be a member for his store, you get
Yep,
access to every single one of his
to
courses.
everything.
And you even if you're not a member anymore, you still keep access to it. Like I still have courses from him from like 10 years ago, and I
Yeah,
still
this
use them.
so
It's
the
really good.
information is just there, and I understand you may not know where to go, but
Let's see. I'll post. Let's find his website, and I'll also post that in the chat for people.
yeah,
Yeah, he's super good. He's I definitely trust
amazing.
him to give you good advice.
So which brings us full circle to what we were saying earlier about finding the proper sources to get your information from if you're learning by yourself.
Yeah.
These guys, They're amazing. They have the information. I suggest that we take the time and we go through it. And if you're thinking, oh, I don't have the money to, it's fine. If you believe that the animation is something that you see yourself doing for the rest of your life, think of it as an investment. So let's just say the cost is $200. If it takes you 3 months to save $200, save it and you buy it. But know that you've invested that money in yourself. If you want to waste your time, then that's fine. But I wouldn't. $200 for 3 months. Yeah, I'm definitely using this information to make myself better.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like, because of course it's going to be hard to come up with that money, but even like compared to like going to school for animation, it doesn't even compare, right? So it's super accessible. These are ones that are pretty good too. Like price wise for what you get, not bad.
Yeah. Yep. And finally, I will show you guys.
Nice. Yeah, these streams are a lot of fun, man. Holy shit, we got to do this again.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I will try to put together like more rigging stuff. Like I told you earlier on, the character that I was rigging, I had to do a little bit of troubleshooting on it, so I wasn't able to put it on tonight. But the next time,
yeah, there's always next time. This was a cool scene. We were talking about this before. This is really cool.
Yeah. So before I show the characters themselves, I will show. We can discuss a little bit of the process from animation.
Yeah.
To the finished product. So I remember on one of your videos, I think it was for the link one that you were talking about like drawing out your stuff before you actually pose the character.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, same.
Yeah, you have to
very
do it.
Important.
Especially working with rigs, it's so good to plan out your shots before. Like just do a quick draw over, just like this, literally just like you're doing here.
So what I normally do is even before I do my animation with my rigs, I would create what we call key poses. So I figured I might as well do the same thing with my drawings themselves, so I can have like a roadmap to start with. It makes it easier to see what the end product is going to be, etc. So I have these two characters in the scene, and I pretty much just broke down all of the areas where the characters will be interacting, etc. It doesn't have to be super detailed. Once you can understand what's going on.
Nice. And you drew through, so I see like, are they on two separate layers? These drawings?
Yes, they're two separate layers. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's smart. And you drew like, even if it's covered by the hand, you still drew her shoulder in.
Yep.
That's smart.
And I used the two different colors so I wouldn't get confused.
Also a good idea.
Well, I think a lot of these practices came about because I'm very neurotic when it comes to my animation stuff. I try to be very, very like the tiny details, they have to matter, because I don't want for when I'm actually doing some of the work, I'm asking myself these questions. Like, so I plan out as much as possible to the smallest detail.
Honestly, that's important to do, man. And it helps you. It helps you later on down the process, like planning right away.
Right. So where's the character?
Right. And this is cool because these characters, you did this in a pretty fun way. Like, it's not completely drawn, but it's not completely rigged either. It's like a mix of the two.
A mixture, yeah.
Which was really cool.
So the plan was, I wanted to do something because I didn't have anything to do at the time. I was bored. I was like, I might as well do animation. And I was scrolling through Twitter, and I found this artist. She posted on the timeline. And I asked her for permission to use her illustration. She said yes, and I started to work. So the character, the poses that you see the characters have right now, it's very similar to what the illustration was. I don't know if I have the illustration on my desktop somewhere. It's probably one of my files. So the idea was, how can I create an animation scene from this illustration? Um, do I want to do it frame by frame? Do I want to do it with puppets? And if I'm doing it with puppets, do I want to create an entire rig for the characters? So the rigs, the rigs route was the best option because it was not necessarily the fastest, but it would be the easiest to animate. However, I did not want to create a full rig. So I rigged the character as much as I can in those poses, in these poses, while allowing me to make additional changes to the characters in terms of like their posture, in terms of the animation and the mobility. Um, if I activate all of the deformers, this is what it looks like. And it might look like a massive mess. I can show you. To a professional animation, this is nothing. To a professional animator, this is nothing. This is not messy at all.
Very simple.
Yeah. So these green lines, for those of you who are not fully aware, they're deformers, and they pretty much help the character move. This is the jaw head.
Yeah, so you can manipulate the pieces, move it around. You don't have to redraw everything, which is a big time saver.
Something I recognized afterwards was what I think I would do afterwards is I would have to create like different shapes, not different shapes, like different how would I call it? Like in Toon, like you could pair different layers together.
Like sync them?
So like sync, that's the word I'm looking for. So like I have to sync the two layers together so that if I do a drawing substitution with the character's mouth open at a different at a different size, the jaw, the movement of the jaw would be different with each drawing substitution. At the time I was doing it, I didn't think of it, but that's something I'll have to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel what you have is good, right? You have the drawing substitutions for the mouth, and you showed me before you separated the eyes as well, right?
Yeah. So the eyes are rigged as well. So a little cut action going on for those of you who understand.
Nice. So basically, every single piece you can manipulate, or the most important pieces.
I might even come in later and add like a master controller for the face, so that I could create like these ups and down movements just for ease.
That's actually smart. So when you to animate this, what would the next steps be for you? You have all the characters posed, you have your rough animation. Yeah. What would your next steps be to actually like match your poses to your rough work?
Pretty much as possible. And what I would do is like I would also, so while creating those key poses, like what I like to do is I like to keep some of the interpolation between the key poses. So let's just say I have two key poses, frame 1 and frame 20. I like to keep the interpolation in between those poses and scrub through them at time to time to make sure that the X, Y, and Z information is perfect, because sometimes you have like things floating in the top, the back, or whatever. And while you're scrubbing through those two different key poses, it really does help you, because the last thing you want is when you're going in to add your timing and extra keyframes or whatever. When you go in to plot those keys on the interpolation, the last thing you want is your Z axis flying in the sky and flying that way. So it really So I wish I had some key poses to show you guys, but
no, that's okay. But I feel as long as you have some strong key poses and everything's working, usually it interpolates pretty well. But it's like focus on making your key poses good, everything's connecting there, and you should be okay. Nice. And then for the hands, did you draw different hands, but you can you separate?
Oh, I will. The plan is to. Now the reason why I did not do any hands per se is because the sketches here, you can tell from the sketches that I have different hands. So the plan is
Yeah.
to now on each key, I would draw the different hands, and while I'm animating, I would just draw the extra drawings in between to create that animation. Maybe I would probably change the spacing between the two keys or whatever to create some ease. But all of that is
Yeah.
done on the layer itself through
Yeah.
drawing substitution, much like the way we use the drawing substitutions for the mouth.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing for the hands.
It's pretty much
That's
the
all.
same
This,
technology.
this is exactly how we animated the show. It's called like Gary and His Demons. This is
Yeah.
exactly how they animate that.
Yo, are you serious?
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Hey, yo, nice. The most high profile thing that I've animated was it was HBO's Animals. It was season
Nice.
3 of HBO's Animals. But because of where I was working at the time, like I didn't get any like my name in the credits. The studio
What?
owner only got the studio owner got them to put the name of the studio and not the people that animated. That's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why I
That's
left.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. That's really annoying. But
Yeah.
at least you still have those shots though, right? From the show. So that's
It
that's basically
was
all that matters.
it was crazy. Yeah, but that's the most high profile thing I've
Nice.
done. HBO is pretty high profile.
Yeah, that's huge.
I did some props stuff and I did some simple character animation for this one show on YouTube. I did it. Should I
Yeah.
show it?
Drop a link and I'll post it in the Discord or whatever. We can check it out after. Oh, hang on. My dog is barking. Marlo. Stay. It's almost time for him to eat. He's bugging me.
Yeah, I know. I have two outside right now. I'm making noise. The trailer? Yeah, okay. So I'll post the trailer right here.
Yeah, you can post it in the comments too here, right? And everyone can see it. Oh wait, is this it? I got you.
Yeah, it's the first one.
Oh, Dallas and Rolo. I know this show. This show was the first animation test I ever did, and I did horrible on it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's the very first actual test that I got. The first
I
time I ever
wouldn't
used a
even-
rig or anything, and it was.
I wouldn't
did
even blame
horrible.
you because the rigs were so they were okay, but they were not the best.
I just
You get
remember
me?
tweening something, and then all the parts of my rig just flew across the screen. I was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be so hard."
Oh, let me see. I supposed to. Wait. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I still have the rigs.
Oh, yeah,
I
if you do-
I supposed to have the rigs.
If you still have it, let's see them, and then that'll be the last. And I think if anyone has any last questions, post them in the chat now, and we can answer them. But after this, we'll see these rigs, and then we'll call it. This is great, guys. I'm so happily surprised about this live stream. Like, it didn't even feel like almost 2 hours. It literally feels like we've been talking for like 45 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's the other link to the thing that I worked on. It's for people watching. Oh, this one's heavy. Ooh, this one's heavy. This one's heavy.
Oh, geez, this is bringing back flashbacks.
Let me close this super quick.
Because it was a long time ago that this show came out, basically.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I think it was Toon Boom like 16 or 17, and they used like it wasn't even like they didn't keyframe each pose. It was like
Nope.
different. Yeah, that's
Nope. That's the old way of animating. Remember what I told you when I
Yeah.
started off with Animate
Like
Pro
Flash.
2? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the old way of animating. That's before the formers and 360 rigs and 360 master controller rigs. Oh, listen. It was crazy.
I can't even. I probably still couldn't animate with these, like with my skills now. I don't understand it.
I mean, I could probably still do it, but it'll take me like a refresher course or something. Oh my
I
god,
don't know.
it
Yeah, that's bringing me
was
back a big, big
crazy.
flashback. Oh, Ben says lots of great info. Yeah, and if
Oh
you
yeah.
guys like this, we can do more of these streams because it's nice to get other animators on this channel, other people's perspective. It's really great, you know. So
This is the next thing I'm going to rig.
nice. Can't wait to see that.
A ton
So I
of
guess
them.
before we go, any last like pieces of advice you have for anyone, um, who's trying to break into the industry, who's trying to learn animation? Anything, any last words you can say to them before we sign off?
Um, what would I say? I think I've probably said it all. I feel at this point I'd probably be just repeating myself because there really isn't much to it. The information is out there. You find it. If you have trouble finding it, the best thing to do is seek out the people that work in these areas on social media. Because I can guarantee you a lot of them are are willing to have these types of conversations with you. Trust me,
Yeah,
don't be afraid. The worst somebody can tell you is no. And even if they tell you no, there's always somebody else.
yeah,
There's
that's
always
huge.
somebody else.
That's great advice.
Always start off your conversation, be respectful. You approach these people, nicely. Let them know that you're interested in learning. If they're willing to answer a few questions, and you just probe them, ask them where's the best place to to seek out information. Um, ask about best practices. Ask about things that like other miscellaneous things that they have to encounter, in their fields, etc. Ask about schooling, the experience in school versus how they work in the industry. Just ask them questions because I used to ask them a lot of questions. Like a lot of these people, like especially people like art students, like animation students. Like I remember I was talking to this guy, and I asked him for like what his what schedule. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Like his plan, like his school plan. Like they would, like when you go like when you apply for school, they would give you like
Like a
the entire
timetable or
year.
something.
Right. Yeah. So breaking down like what they have to study. I asked him and he just gave it to me. And I used that for like an entire year. So
Really?
I felt like an animation student, even with
That's
learning in that.
smart.
Just think outside of the box when it comes to like your education. And it doesn't matter if you're learning from a school, from an accredited school, or if you're self-learning. It's all about the information and how you learn it, and how willing you are to absorb the information. And if you I mean, I'm right here. If anybody wants to ask me questions in my downtime, you could search me, you could find me on my Twitter, on my Instagram, and just ask me questions. Just
Oh yeah, that's a good thing. So where can they find you? Actually, we can post that
right.
in the chat now. We can, or you can just write it
Yeah, let me
in the
just let me
comments for
just
them.
find a link to my Twitter. I'm right there. Ask me questions. I will answer to the best of my knowledge. So this is my Twitter. Let me get my Instagram.
There.
Give me the message, man. I will answer.
Nice. That's awesome. It's so nice that you're willing to give back too. That's great. And I feel a lot of people who teach themselves are like that because
Yeah.
they know how hard it is.
Another thing I did was like I found myself. I found like communities, like niche arts communities, and there's a lot of them running on Discord. I feel
Mm,
Discord is a very active place for a lot of artists. Like they have their own servers, and they have so just a lot of people that do this type of work. They have their Discord servers in their bios or whatever. Just join them, ask them questions, take part in their chat in their community challenges. It's
Yeah.
that is that easy. It's that easy.
Yeah.
So we have people like Orangiku. We have people like Doigan Swift. They stream all their art stuff on Twitch. Find them. They're right there. So there's Twitch, there's YouTube, there's Twitter, there's Instagram. They are there. It's not like the 1950s where people have to go to the library to get information. It's right there, and we're more than and then happy to have conversations with people that are just coming into the industry, that are just finding their style as an animator and an artist or whatever. We are right there. Just ask us questions, join our communities, participate. That's how it starts. And by I don't know, by 12 months from the time you start, you would see major improvements, and maybe then you would have to take it serious and then say like, oh, I want to be an animator for the next 20 years. Or, it's right there.
That's great advice. That's huge. So honestly, man, thank you for doing this. Like this was a really, really nice stream. There is so much useful info. So, hopefully we'll do this again soon. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really, really appreciate this, Ben. Thank you so much for coming on. This was great.
no problem. I'm more than willing to give my time to do stuff like this. This is like, who would have thought, you know?
Yeah, it's so funny because you met on one of our streams. Like you
Yep.
showed up. You knew someone else in the chat. I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit,
yeah, yeah.
like you definitely should come on. And that's how it starts. So hopefully we can do this more. Talk about different animation stuff. I love throwing ideas back and
Yeah.
forth. I thought it was really fun. So yeah, I
So
think I'll end it
when the
here.
stream, when the stream
Oh,
is
sorry, go
done,
ahead.
I'll send you a message, and then we could talk about the videos and stuff that I have. I'll just give it to you. It's no problem.
Yeah, man. No pressure, nothing like that. That would be awesome. So I think let me try and end it because I think you're gonna stay on. Like, watch. I'll end it now. See you guys, and you should